All right, so let's get things moving here. Animating a ceiling fan. As you know, animation can add a whole new dynamic level of any visualization, even if you're not necessarily doing a video. Just the appearance of motion in your still image can be pretty dynamic as well. So in this case, just a quick little demo of how we're gonna a couple different ways of how we could rig a ceiling fan. One of the most, in my opinion, important things to do is to understand the hierarchy of the objects and how we're going to kind of rig it all together. So let me go ahead and just kind of isolate that ceiling fan. I have it in a group. I'm just going to isolate it, Alt Q here, so I can see it from a couple different angles. I'm going to open up that group again. But we really kind of want the main mechanism that's going to be rotating the ceiling fan parts, which is the center piece right here, this fan motor. We could link all of these objects to that particular fan motor and then rotate them around here, but instead of that, I'm going to use a dummy object. So dummy objects are we use them all the time. I mean, I can't stress how often we should use these instead of linking directly straight to geometry. So number of different kinds of dummy objects. This time I'm just going to create a little square here. Center that, and I'm going to align that to the exact center of our fan motor here. And this ultimately is going to be what's going to rotate our whole fan here. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of our fans, and we could do this in a number of different ways, but over here is our select and link tool. So I selected that fan, linked it to its fan bracket, and I'm going to select and link that to the fan motor. I'm going to go ahead and do the same to the rest of the elements here. I'm just going to kind of rotate around here, select him, click and drag over there. We're just creating this hierarchy. So the fan blade becomes the child to its parent object. Let's see, so we've got all of these. Let me make sure I've done it. Whoops. Make sure yeah. Okay, so we can just test that out. We're going to select the center object and just going to rotate it. Okay, so see how this center object is now the parent object of all these other objects. I can still move this guy independent of him. The bracket I can move, but we have the fan blade as the child object of him, so he will rotate what the parent does. The parent asks him to do. So this is the main parent, but we are actually not going to animate this fan object. We are going to link him to the dummy object, and it matters down the road if you modify different aspects of the actual geometry. It's just a little bit easier if this dummy object becomes the driving force here. So we're going to go over a couple of different ways that we could animate this. Number one is called keyframing, probably something that you've all heard of before. Setting a point in time and then changing the time line and changing the orientation or the physical attributes of that particular item. So in this case, we are going to rotate around the Z axes of this ceiling fan. In Max, we have an animate button. So we're just going to auto key this. So we're just going to toggle the auto key mode right here. Everything turns red, so you can kind of tell what's going on here. So if we right click on this slider button, we're going to create a key. This is going to create a key for position, rotation, and scale, all at frame 0. So we drag the slider down. Typically we have 30 frames per second, so if we wanted 1 second later for the ceiling fan to rotate, we'll say 90 degrees, so that's would ultimately be 4 rotations every 120 seconds. So as you can see, as you go from frame 0 to frame 30, it rotates 90 degrees. It automatically gave it a little ease in, ease out curve, which is definitely nice, but in reality, that ceiling fan is going to rotate in a linear fashion. Of course, behind the scenes, lots of things are dictating how this is spinning and the direction and all that kind of stuff. So we have up here what's called the curve editor. So we're just going to open up the curve editor, and this is pretty intense, but doesn't need to be. So you're actually seeing that ease curve where it starts kind of slow and eases in. So what we're going to do here is we're going to right click on that and we're going to just give it a straight, no ease at all. We're going to kind of propagate that down the line. So as you can see now, kind of minimize this a little bit. Now we get rid of that ease, so it's going to be kind of a linear interpolation of that spin. But of course, it's going to spin more than a quarter of rotation. So what's cool here, we have what is called the, let's see, where is it? So we have where we're going to add an out of range type here, an out of range controller. So what this is going to do is it doesn't matter where throughout the animation we are, this ceiling fan is going to rotate, and we're going to use this as a relative repeat. So we're going to go ahead and click OK, and you can see what that does here on this curve editor is, before frame 0, after frame 100, whatever, or however our whole animation length is, it's going to stay on this constant spin. So go ahead and minimize this track view for you, and then go ahead and click the play button, and you'll see now how it's just spinning in a constant motion. As you can see, it looks like it's kind of going backwards, so maybe that's a winter setting, but you get the idea. It's easy enough to change the direction of that. We can actually go ahead and do that right now. So let's go back up and maximize that track view, or open that back up again. And then here, we're going to right click on that key, which is at frame 30. We can just go ahead and set that value to -90. And you can see it just reverses that whole thing. Minimize that back up and hit play again. And boom, now we're going. Is that going a little too slow? Could be. So it doesn't matter, as long we can change the time, the animation. It doesn't matter, we can change it to 3,000 frames here. That's a long time. Go ahead and hit play. And that will just be constantly moving at that same speed. Never really have to worry about that again. So that's pretty cool. We want to speed that up if we want to. We'll go back into our track view here, maximize that up. And at frame 30, maybe instead of being at value of -90, maybe we already want it to be, if it's doing 1 rotation per second, pretty fast. So let's do a -360. You can see how much that speeds that up, so it's about 4 times faster. Might be a little bit more natural. There we go. Sure, you're getting a pretty good breeze from that. Very good. Pause that up.